Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this cute little bumblebee. He is what I consider a no-sew body pattern, which means we are going to start by making his arms, then we're going to make the legs, then we're going to move on to the top of the head, work our way down, crochet on the arms, work on the body, add the eyes, add the legs, stuff and close. And then we will have to do a little bit of embroidery on the face, attach the antennas, and sew on the wings. For this video, I will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn, a 4.25 millimeter hook, and 14 millimeter safety eyes. And for the plush version, I used a number 6 blanket yarn, a 5 millimeter crochet hook, and 18 millimeter safety eyes. And then I just used a little black felt pen to color the backs of the eyes. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you. And I am also providing a drop down at the top of the screen with the pattern instructions for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. Okay, I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. Before we get started, I'm just going to remind you that I'm going to be using a dark gray for the arms and the legs, just because it's really hard to see in the video. And then once we get done those, I will switch back to yellow and black. All right, so we are going to start with the arms, and you can begin your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'm going to be doing a knot with a loop on the end. So what I do is I fold my yarn over in half. Then I'm going to pinch that up at the top. I'm going to wrap it around my finger, down and through to make my knot. Then I'm going to pinch that little loop. And I'm just going to slide that knot up so that my loop is just a little bit bigger than my hook. Insert your hook. Grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And that does not count as a stitch. That's just attaching our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 8 single crochets into that loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then pull on that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 3, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Row 4, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 5, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 6, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 7, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 8, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we're finished our arm, so we can take our hook out, pull our stitch marker out. Then we're going to grab just a little bit of stuffing. We don't need very much. And we're going to just put it down into the very bottom of the arm. If you need help, scissors are a great way to get it down to the bottom. And we're going to pack it in the very bottom of the hand part, nice and tight. And then we're going to lightly put a little bit back up the arm. So just enough to hold its shape, but you don't want so much in it so that it's going to stick straight out when you add it. So you want it to be a little bendy, but firm on the end. And once you're happy with that, we're going to stick our hook back in. You're going to go into the very next stitch, and then you're going to go into the very last stitch. And we're going to do 3 single crochets across. Make sure you're going through both sides. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to tie that off, and even though we're not sewing these on, after we attach them at the end, I do something with these strings, so you're going to want to leave yourself a little bit of a tail for that. Alright, so if you have just finished your first arm, I will be putting a screenshot over in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second arm. And then if you're done your second arm, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. Alright, now we're going to start on the legs. And again, you can begin your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 8 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then pull that tail if you need to close that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that pattern all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 single crochet for 1, 1 increase for 2, and 3. And then repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 4, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 5, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that around for a total of 10. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, 3 single crochets, 4 single crochets, and a decrease, 4, 5, and then repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease, 4, 10. Row 6, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Row 7, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Row 8, we are going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we can take our hook out now because we're going to add some stuffing. I'm also going to take my stitch marker out. And again, we don't need a lot of stuffing in here. We just want to make sure that we have it stuffed right to the bottom. And then maybe about the last row or two, you don't want to have anything in there. So if you can see in there, I'm probably stuffed to here. Kind of a medium stuff, so I can still squish it and it moves. But we want to make sure that when we attach it, that it's going to be kind of more of in a teardrop shape, so that when he's sitting down, his little belly is not going to make him want to flop over because our legs are stuffed too tight. So when you're happy with your amount of stuffing, we're going to put our hook back in, and just like we did the arms, you're going to go into that next stitch, then you're going to go into the last stitch, and then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. Make sure you're going through both sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then tie off. Leave a little bit of a tail. I don't do much with these ends, but we will be tying them on the inside. So if you've just finished your first leg, again, I will be putting a screenshot with a timestamp over in the next frame, so you can go back and do your second leg. And if you're done your second leg, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. All right, now we're going to start at the top of the head, and again, you can begin your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That's just attaching our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 8 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're going to pull that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 single crochet for 1, 1 increase for 2 and 3, and then repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 single crochet, 1 increase for 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, increase, 3 and 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, and repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30. Row 6, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, and repeat that around. 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, whoopsie, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 8, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 9, 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, oopsie, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 10, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 11, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 12, we are going to do 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Row 13, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease, 4, 5, and repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease, 4, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30. Row 14, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. And repeat that around. 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. Row 15, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3. And repeat that around. 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, whoops, still 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and on our last decrease for 18, we're going to be changing color, so we're going to go in, grab our yarn, pull up, in, grab your yarn, pull up, and then we're going to stop with those 3 loops on the hook. We're going to change color. Don't cut your yellow because we're going to be switching back and forth every couple of rows, and we don't want to be retying it on every time. All right, so now we're just going to tie our new color to our old color, nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can get it, 2 or 3 times. And then you're going to take that new color, whoops, pull it through those 3 loops you left on your hook to finish off that last stitch of the previous row. All right, this next row we're going to do, we're going to be adding the arms. So grab those and get those ready. I'm going to change to my higher camera stand so that hopefully you can see a little bit better, and I will meet you right back. Okie dokie. Now, row 16, we are going to start off with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to grab one of our arms. Now remember, this is the back where we just started. We want to have the strings of our arms facing towards the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets into the arm and into the next stitch of the head. So into the arm, into the next stitch of the head, that's 1, into the arm, into the next stitch of the head, that's 2, into the arm, into the next stitch of the head, that's 3. And then we are going to do 6 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to grab your other arm. And again, remember the back's on this side now. That's where your stitch marker is. And now you're going to make sure that your string is facing the front. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and the next stitch of the head. Oops. So that's 1 through the arm, through the next stitch of the head. That's 2 through the arm, through the next stitch of the head. That's 3. And then we should have 3 stitches left to finish off the row for a total of 18. 1, 2, 3. Row 17, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, increase, 3, and 4. And then we're going to repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7, and 8. And as you get around to these strings, make sure they're staying on the outside because that is where we'll need them for later. Okay, continue on. 9, 10, increase, 11, and 12. 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23, and 24. And on our 24th one, we're going to stop when we have those 2 loops on our hook because we're going to change color now. Oh yeah, we're not cutting it. So now you're just going to grab your old color and you're going to pull it through those 2 loops on your hook. You may have to pull a little bit to tighten up that stitch. Row 18, we're going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 19, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5. And repeat that around. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29, and then on 30 we're going to change color, so you can go in, grab your yarn, pull up, drop that color you're using, pick up your other color, and then we're just going to grab that, pull it through those last 2 loops on your hook, and again you may have to pull that yarn a little bit to tighten up that last stitch. I think we're far enough now. We can put our eyes in. So grab those and get those ready. All right, so first thing we're going to do is find the row that we need to put them in. So I am actually going to kind of flatten mine out, get it centered first. I just use my arms out to the sides and just kind of flatten the head. And what we're going to do is we're going to find our first row. So this is row 1 where we made our loop or magic ring. And we're going to go between rows 8 and 9. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So right here in between rows 8 and 9, and I'm going to be going in a hole. Now before I commit to that, I'm obviously not center. I definitely need to go over one more. So what I usually do is I will find where I knotted on my arms here. So that's the last stitch where my arms are attached. I'm just going to count over evenly till I find my center. So my center's right here. The top of my center loop is right there, and I'm just going to kind of line them up, and I think I might have to go over one more yet. It's hard with a bendy needle. So one of these 2 stitches anyway. So I'm going to put my eyes in now. I think I have center. So what we're going to do is we're going to start where we have our pin, and we're going to count over 3 holes. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go in that 3rd hole. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm right at the hole that my pin was in. And I'm going to go over 3 holes. 1, 2, 3, and in that 3rd hole. So I have 5 holes in between where my eyes are inserted. Now you'll just have a look now, see if they look even to you, and I definitely need to move mine over 1. So make sure you're moving them both over 1 stitch if that's what you need to do. And then double check again. That looks way better. So once you're happy with where your eyes are, You're going to put your thumb on your eye and gently bring it up through the neck. You don't want to be pushing too hard because you don't want to stretch your stitches. And then you're just going to snap that back on. Do the same thing on the other side. A thumb on the eye. Gently bring your eye post up through the neck. And then just put that on. Okay. And now we're going to put our hook back in. This mess of strings here. All right, row 20, we are going to do a 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 21, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then on 30 we're going to go in, grab our yarn, pull up because we're going to change colors again, drop the color you're using, pick up your other stripe color, grab that, pull it through those 2 loops left on your hook to finish off that last stitch, and then give it a pull if you need to. Row 22, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 23, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then on our 30th one, we are going to change color. So drop that old color, grab the next color, pull that through, and then give that stitch a pull if you need to. And we're going to be decreasing next, so let's add a little bit of stuffing to our head. Now I'm going to be adding a lot of stuffing in here. We want to make sure we got a nice firm packing in the head. So I begin by packing it up in the top above the eyes. I'm using my hand to kind of hold it into shape and not stretch the stitches. Whoop! Just watch your strings. You don't want to get them accidentally on the inside. And once you get about halfway down, you're going to start kind of putting your fingers out towards the bottom of the neck and just feel around while you're keeping the shape. If you feel kind of a space, that's where you're going to add your next little batch of stuffing. So I'm just kind of twisting it and feeling as I go. So I'm getting close here, but I can still feel a little bit more room. Just be careful as you're doing this that you're not stretching your stitches so you can see your stuffing. So at my neck, I'm starting to see the stuffing a little bit, but some of that is because the way I decreased. All right, that's pretty close. Just check once in a while. You're still getting that round shape. I think I'm going to stop there. Now you can stuff as you go here, but I'm not going to do any more stuffing until I put the legs on. We only got a couple rows left, I think, till then. Oh, I guess we only have one row left till we add the legs. So for row 24, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, and repeat that around. 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. All right, now we're going to add the legs, so grab those and get those ready. Okay, so for row 25, we are going to start off with 8 single crochets, and if you're left-handed, you may be doing this whole row backwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you should be right at the middle of the arm. If you're not, you can add or subtract stitch. Just remember when you did that on this side that you do that at the end of the row too. So now we're going to grab one of our legs, and I like to make mine go the same way, so mine are going to be going this way. And we're going to do 4 single crochets through the leg and through the next stitch of the body. So into the leg, might be tricky to see, but it's just like you did the arms. Into the next stitch of the body, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 2, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 3, into the leg, into the next stitch of the body, that's 4. And then you're going to do, oops, put that string to the inside. Then we're going to do 3 single crochets across, and make sure you're in the next stitch because it's really easy to go in the same stitch. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to grab your other leg, and my leg's going to go the same way. I did do a little test once and had them together, thinking that made more sense. But however you start in the round in this tiny little amount, it made them look lopsided. So because they're crocheted exactly the same way and not opposite of each other, I just make sure my strings are always facing the same ways when I put them on. All right, so now we're going to do 4 single crochets through the leg, through the next stitch of the body. That's 1. Do the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 2. Through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 3. Through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 4. And again, put that string to the inside, your tie-off string for your leg. And then you should have 5 single crochets left unless you had to adjust on this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're also changing color here, so make sure you leave those last 2 loops on your hook. And we're done with the black, so we're going to cut the black, but make sure you leave enough of a tail for tying. And then you're just going to tie those 2 colors together fairly tight, but do keep in mind that you don't want, how can I show you this? You don't want this piece of your string to bring your body tight together. So you want to tie it tight, but you want to have a little bit of give right there on that string. Otherwise, you're going to have a little kink there that you're not going to be happy with. So just kind of tie loosely at first, and then as soon as you can pull without your knot sliding, then you have enough ties. All right, what a mess. We're almost done, guys. Okay, now you're just going to pull that new color through to finish off that last stitch of your previous row. Let's tie our leg strings together too now. So make sure you're grabbing the 2 strings you put to the inside when you put your legs on. And again, we're going to tie this loose just around the back side of the body, or the inside of the body, because if you do it too tight, your legs are going to come like this and they're going to squish together. So just nice and loosely, so they go along the inside a couple of times. And then we'll give that a trim too. We're going to add a little bit of stuffing now too. So we're going to want most of it stuffed, but we want to have enough room left on the bottom so it's not interfering with our last couple of rows. So I'm going to go about like that. And then maybe my second last row I'll add a little bit more. All right, so for row 26, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3. Sorry, I'm not in the right angle here. 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and a decrease for 18. Row 27, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 single crochet, 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, decrease for 12. Now let's add the last little bit of our stuffing. So what we want to do when we get down to the last little bit is we kind of want to stick it out towards the bum area a little bit. So it's a bit oblong in the back, and then that way it's going to help him sit flatter, because remember, we want to have the top of this flat because he's sitting. So I'm just kind of bringing my fingers from the front side to the back side, making kind of a little well in there, and then I'm just going to stick my stuffing down into that center. And that should be lots. It doesn't have to be as firm as the head. And when you're happy with the amount of stuffing, we'll get your hook back in. And row 28, we're going to do 6 decreases. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases. Try not to catch some stuffing like I just did. 3 decreases, 4 decreases, 5 decreases, 6 decreases. And then you're going to slip stitch into the next stitch and tie off. Leave yourself a little bit of a tail so that we can close up the hole on the bottom. We can take the stitch marker out now. Now we're going to close up the little hole on the bottom. So we're going to thread on our darning needle. And all you're going to do is go in and out of these top loops of your last row. And if you're using plush yarn, do a couple, then pull, a couple, then pull. So just back and forth around those stitches. All right, I'm all the way to the other side now. Now I'm just going to pull that closed. Then you're going to find the next stitch or somewhere close. Make your knot. And then you're just going to put it in right close to where you tied to kind of hide the knot. And then bring your needle out the back somewhere. Give it a good pull so that knot goes to the inside. And then we'll give that a cut. And now we're going to do the arm string. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. Put one of your ends onto your needle. And what you're going to do is you're going to find where your tie-off knot and your last stitch went into the head. So mine's right here. I'm going to go into that hole and I'm going to come out the back center of the neck somewhere. Purple's a little hard to see, but now we're going to do the same thing with the other arm. So you're going to grab your other tail, thread it on. Find where your knot and your last stitch where you attached your arm is, and go into that hole. And you're going to come out the same hole that your other string came out of. I'm just going to get in it and then I'll put it closer for you. Now keep track of your ends. We're going to tie them one time. We're going to wrap them around the neck. Turn your little guy around. And now you're going to pull these strings and your knots are going to go inside and your arms are going to come forward a bit. If you're using plush yarn, be very careful you don't snap your yarn. So I'm just pulling them nice and tight, making them go forward. Remember, they will relax a little bit over time. So I always bring mine basically right to the front and then they end up more of a 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle. Tie that nice and tight in the back to hold them in place. Then you're going to re-thread those back on. And remember, as you're cutting all these ends, these make really good accents for embroidering. They're almost a perfect length to do like a mouth or the eyebrows. So hang on to them if you can, or if they're long enough. Give that a cut. Now you're going to grab a scrap of the same color you use for the face, or if you don't have one, just cut off the ball you've been using. I probably got about 1.5 to 2 feet here. That's more than we're going to need, but I always rather have a little extra than not enough. So what we're going to do is find the center again of kind of our neckline here. So I'm just using these stitches. It's nice and easy when they're black. So that's my center right there. Oh, let's get a different colored pin here. So we're used to using black. So I've got a pin right in that center hole. We're going to take our yarn. We're shaping the eyes right now. We're going to take our yarn. In that same hole we put our pin, we're going to go under the stitch beside it. Leave a little bit of yarn on the outside for tying. You're going to go over the next stitch and into the next hole. And then you're going to come up right here at about a 45-degree angle from your eye. Oops, we're caught on the leg here. Then you're going to come up one stitch, or sorry, one row. This is the row that you put your eyes in. You're going to come over to this side, matching that same stitch. So I got to go upside down for a second. Grab a big chunk of stuffing. That will give you a bit more of a bump between the eyes. You're going to come up in that same hole across from where you just went in. Then you're going to go down, matching this stitch at a 45-degree angle into that hole under the eye. And when you come to this side, you're going to skip one hole. So there's your pin, skip that hole, and come out the next hole. So I've got one stitch in between. I'm going to come down that stitch and then back up where I started, where my pin is. And what that does is it anchors your yarn into stitches, so when you're pulling and squishing, this knot that you tie here is not going to float up into his head and undo all the shaping that you just did. Now we're going to tie that one time. And we're going to pull it just like we did the arms, but as we're doing that, we're going to be coming down and together, down, together. Give it another pull. Oh, he's trying to get away on me here. Down, together, too close together, pull them apart and down. Now I'm over pulling. I'm just going to show you the difference of when I do it compared to when it's been a couple of days. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is really squished down. There's quite a bump here. So it will relax a little bit. So don't worry if you get it a little too much. Once you're happy with it, you're going to tie that nice and tight. And then we'll rethread those ends back on. Put it in that same hole you came out of, and then just out the back somewhere. Give it a bit of a pull. Give that a cut. And I just got to pull mine apart a tiny little bit. There we go. So there we go. All right, now we're going to do the mouth, and all I'm doing is taking my regular number 4 yarn. I'm going to untwist it. Usually there should be 4 strands in there. And then you're just going to take one strand out and untwist it. And then this is what I'm going to be using for my mouth and eyebrows. If you have embroidery thread, use that. It will work a lot better. or look a lot nicer. But this works in a pinch. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start at the row where we added our eyes, and we're going to go down 3 rows. So 1, 2, 3. And now you can pin this if you want. I'm just going to mark the center with my finger. This is about where I want to have the bottom of my mouth making a smile. So I'm going to come down below that. Actually, let's pin it. So I'm 1 row down from where I want my mouth to start and in the center. I'm going to come down. This is where we're tying. And I'm going to come out on this 3rd row from where we inserted the eyes, just kind of in the middle of the eye a bit. And you can make yours as long or as short as you want. And then I'm going to come in that center hole where I have that pin. Then I'm going to match this on this side, so just underneath the middle of the eye. Sometimes I got to do it twice, but let's see if I get the right one. Whoops. We need to be up 1 row from where we are. So make sure you're in this row straight across. And then before I go in, I'm just going to double check. It's close. It could be a little longer on the one side, but I'm okay with that. So now we're going to go in that same hole and then out the bottom for tying. Sometimes if you just give it a little pull too, that will shorten this and make it look a little bit more even. So now I'm going to tie those. Do it loosely so that you're not pulling your perfect little mouth. I have made one perfect little mouth a couple tutorials ago. I can't even remember which one it was on. I think it might have been the rainbow. I can't remember, but I mentioned it. So if you watch all my videos, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. Oop, we only got one on there. And then we're going to come back in, and you're just going to gently pull that through. So I like to watch this side, and then once it's through, I'm going to come back on this side and just very gently, if I can get the right one, pull my ends through so I don't wreck that mouth. And then I'm going to cut this without pulling, just lifting it up. And then if you have a little spot like I do, where you can see your yarn, you're just going to come in beside it in a stitch and swoop down, and that will get rid of that. And we might as well do our eyebrows while we have the black out. So again, you're just going to take another piece of your 4-strand yarn, pull it apart. I'll thread that on. Now what you're going to do is you're going to come up about 1 row, just on the inside of the eye. You can go down, go around some stuffing, and match that on the other side. Pull about half your yarn through. Then if you want, you can take your little strings and you can kind of, oh, we got a little angry bee or a sad little bee, or actually I kind of like them like that. But my son-in-law always tells me how sad they look, so I try and go like this now. All right, so now we're going to skip, we're going to go down 1 row, we're going to skip this hole, and we're going to go into the next hole. That looks a little short, but I guess we'll see. And we're going to grab our stuffing and come up in the center of our eyebrow oh, I've been videoing way too long. That's a short little eyebrow. Oh, it's going to match, so thread on your other end. And same thing, down one row, I'm skipping that hole right beside the eye and going into the next one. Go down, grab a bunch of stuffing, and come up where the other yarn came up. The reason we go down and up is so you don't see the thread underneath. A general rule is if you can see your needle under there, you're definitely going to see your thread. And you don't want to have a black line between your eyebrows. Whoops. Then we're going to thread that back on. And just like before, we're going to put it through gently, watching as we go through. Oh, I just learned something new. If you hold here and pull tight, then you can slowly pull the rest through. Get your end in nice. All right. And I'm just fixing that hole I made. This eyebrow is a little bit short, but I mean, it will work still. Then we're going to cut this without pulling. Swoop that little piece of black out of the way. All right, and now we're going to do the little eye accent. So I'm just grabbing a little scrap of white. And now I'm going to come to the outside of the eye. So this is still the same row that we inserted our eye posts in. I'm going to come down. I'm kind of scooping around because the backs of the eyes are sometimes a problem. Then I'm going to come in the same row on the other side, on the outside of the eye. We want about half our yarn through. And then we're just going to come down around under, kind of again at a 45-degree angle from the eye. Odds are you're probably putting it in the same stitch of when you shaped your face. Go down, grab some stuffing, and come out between the eyes somewhere in the center. Don't worry if your eyes move around a bit. We can fix that. Now I'm just going to loosely put that there for now. Then we're going to thread on the other end. Same thing, you're going to come down about 45-degree angle from the eye, just underneath the eye, and then you're going to come up where you started. Again, make sure you grab some of that stuffing. Carefully pull that through. Now, what you want to do is have your accents kind of right at the bottom around your eye. So you want to pull your yarn so it comes under, tucked to it, but you don't want to pull it so hard that it goes underneath your eye. So you're just slowly and gently pulling it till it's exactly where you want it. If you go under the eye, you're probably better off redoing it instead of trying to pull it out, because you're going to make some little snags. Then once you're happy, you're going to very lightly tie it so you're not pulling on those accents. Thread your yarn back on your needle. Whoop. I'm always such a mess at the end here. Let's try my new trick here. So I'm going to put it back in, hold onto the yarn here. I can pull this as hard as I want now, and then just slowly bring the ends through. Oh, that works so good. Then fix that hole if you need to, and lightly cut this, and swipe that little piece away if you need to. All right, now if you want to add cheeks, we're going to add cheeks. Thread on your pink or whatever color you want to use. And I'm going to start by going just kind of a little over from the center of my eye. So I don't want to be in this stitch. I want to be closer to here. So I'm kind of like even with the outside of the eye. Then I want to find the matching stitch on this side. Again, go down, grab a bunch of yarn or stuffing. And I want about half my yarn through. Now on my original one, I went like this. I thought that was kind of cute. But usually I would go around one stitch this way. So let's see. Let's go up. So I'm just going up one row. Just behind the eye now. And we're going to go around about 3 times. You can go however many times you want, whatever you think looks best. But I thought going up like this, I needed a couple times. So that was once. This will be twice. And now 3 times. And I'm just going to come out somewhere again for tying. I'm going to come out the bottom. Oops, I hope that was in the view here. We're going to do the other one the same way. So that does look pretty cute, I guess. I was going to go straight across. All right, now we're going to thread on our other end. So I'm going to put mine right there. So I'm just going kind of at a diagonal over to the next stitch. And I went from the inside of the eye down, so I want to make sure I do that here too. So I'm just kind of stacking them beside each other. So that's twice, and this will be the 3rd time. And then out the bottom. And again, you don't want to pull these too tight. Now I've got one way longer than the other, so this is a little longer. So I'm going to take this one, put my needle under, and then just kind of wiggle it a bit to make that a little bit different. Maybe a little longer. Sometimes when you crochet in the round, your stitches don't always match up. And once you're happy with your little cheekers, we're going to tie that. Thread those ends back on. Again, hold on to your yarn there, and out she goes through that same hole. Pull it through most of the way, and then we'll just, oh, that almost makes a cute little tongue. That's how ideas happen, I guess. Not today, but if I ever do a frog, I'll have to remember that. Okay, fix that little hole. Give that a cut. Swipe that away if you need to. All right, we're going to add the antennas now, and I just picked through my scrap pile, and I happen to have 3 strings that are pretty much almost the exact right length. So I want to have about 12 inches or 30 centimeters. Mine are just a touch short, but I think they'll still work. All right, we're going to pin where we want to add the antennas now. So you're going to find your first row, and you're going to go down between rows 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3. So right here between rows 3 and 4, and you're going to come kind of right even with the top of your loop. If you have your eyes pointed down, that'll be right across. And then you want to go on the other side. 1, 2, 3. So between rows 3 and 4, and then bring it up here. Now see, mine are definitely uneven, so I'm going to bring this one back one. This is going to be the back side of our antenna, and then our other side is going to go in the front of that pin. So let's thread on one of our strings. So we're going to go right in front of our pins now, so following along the row. So in here, and in this one here, right in front. And it doesn't matter, but I have 5 holes in between. So center, hole, hole, center, hole, hole. And then that's where my thread's going in the next one. So you're going to bring half your yarn through. And then you're going to take your 2 other strings and thread them on. Try and make sure they're even. And now you're going to go where your pins were. So you're right behind the yarn you just did. And again, make sure you're going under some stuffing there so you don't see these all the way across. Bring them about halfway through. When I was making this, I actually thought this looked kind of cute. But it's not staying like that. All right, so let's even these ends up. So I think this one needs to be pulled out a bit. Whoops. Make sure you have about the same amount on each side. I just got to figure out how to hold this guy still for a minute. All right, I got about 6 pins sticking in my tablecloth, so hopefully that'll hold them. Now we're just going to braid these. And what you're going to do is you're going to be bringing the outside to the inside on one side, and then the other outside to the inside. So outside, inside, outside, inside. Just back and forth till you have probably about twice as much as you think you want for an antenna. I just do mine right to the end, basically. This is just so that you have lots of room to tie a little knot on top. So once you're happy with the length, you're going to wrap that around your finger. Make sure your braid does not come undone. And then I'm going to cut mine about 2 of my fingers high. Or not cut it, tie my knot. So there's my knot right there. And if I'm happy with that, we'll cut the ends. But do leave yourself a little bit extra before your knot. Oh, you can't see this. Oh, there maybe. There's my knot, and I'm leaving probably, I know, half a centimeter maybe. You can always trim more than if you did not enough. I'm going to try doing it this way so I don't have to unpin my guy. So we'll do the other side. Just braid that back and forth. Oops, he's coming off. Hang tight, little guy. Whoops, he's really coming off. There he's off. Okay, so that's as far as I'm getting on this one, but it's far enough. So now I'm going to tie my knot again. And then I used my 2 fingers, so I want to use my 2 fingers again. Before I pull it too tight, just double check they're about the right height. And then when you're well, now I can show you. So now I'm going to cut it about right here. And there we go. Just 2 little antennas. All right, and now we just have the wings, I think. Okay, we're going to do the wings now, and again, you can start your rounds any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull up, and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch, that just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over top of the tail, we're going to do 8 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then pull that tail if you need to close up that hole. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1, increase, 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1 single crochet, 1 increase for 2 and 3, and repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 5, we're going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 6, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1 single crochet, 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, decrease for 12. Row 7, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whoopsie. Row 8, we are going to do 12 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Row 9, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. 1 single crochet, 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8. Row 10, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 11, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is the end of our wings. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I guess I didn't have to take my hook out. We're not stuffing these. We do need to close them. So just like we did the arms and the legs, you're going to go in the next stitch and the last stitch. And we're going to do 3 single crochets across. 1, go in there, 2, 3. And then leave a long enough tail for sewing these on. Whoop. Now, if you've just finished your first wing, I will be putting a screenshot over in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second wing. And then if you're done your second wing, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. All right, now we're going to be sewing them on, and I'm going to leave it a bit up to you as to where you want to place yours. Starting with the strings up at the top, because we're going to start at the top and go down when we sew them on. Just kind of place them behind while you're looking at him and just kind of see where they feel or look right to you. So this is where I want mine. So I'm going to hold one of them nice and tight, exactly where it is. And then I'm going to pin that really good. Now, this is where I usually end up poking myself. So be careful while you're doing this part. So I'm just getting about 3 pins in there, and then I'm also going to pin it, double check. I'm also going to pin it up here so it's the angle that I want. So I'm just kind of in the head because we're going to be tacking it into the head a bit. So I'm still happy with that. So I'm going to thread my end on. I made this a year ago, last summer, so I have no idea how I sewed it on. So I'm just winging it right here, but it should be the same as most my other ones. So I'm going to come down kind of under the wing a bit and come up into that first single crochet V. And I'm just going to do that all the way down. So I'm just going a little bit underneath of the stitch into the body and then coming up into that single crochet we made to sew it on. You may have to move your pins around a bit if your string and your pins are in the way. I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to go around this bottom one twice. Back down right close, and then I'm going to come up somewhere. I'm catching the body, and then I'm going to come up a little bit in the middle. Make sure you're not going through the arm. So I'm coming up in the middle, so I'm just tacking it down here. So that the wings kind of stay forward instead of flopping back behind, unless that's what you want. And I'm going to go over one stitch here again, and I'm just going to catch in the head. Go back up into that wing so it'll stay there. You don't want to see this stitch, so make sure it's a hidden stitch if you can, or really nice and tight. I'm still happy with that. So now I'm going to go back down really close, but not in the same spot. And I'm going to come out here for tying somewhere. So about the middle of the bottom of the wing. Underneath the wing though, so I can hide my knot. Yeah, come on. I don't know why it's so hard to pull through. And then once you're down there, you're just going to tie a knot somewhere right close to the wing. And then I'm going to come down. Try and get under the wing if you can. And then out. I am going to come really close to the middle, right close to where I went across here, just in case you want to pull those wings together like we did the arms, or tie them a little better right there. Okay, so there's one. Whoop, now we need to do the other one. Again, make sure your string's at the top, and you want to make sure they look even from the front. I think that's okay right there. Hold it nice and tight. Oops, I just moved it. Okay, hold it there. It doesn't look even on the back, but it looks even on the front, so I'm going to leave it like that. Then again, you're going to pin it. And I forgot to mention, when I did the other one, I am not pinning where I'm going to be sewing. I'm pinning up higher so that I don't have to take my pins out as I'm going around. And then another one up into the head. Just one quick double check before you commit. And if you think I might put one more pin in there. Okay, so thread your end on. Now try and do it the same way. I might do it different. You can do it either way. I really can't remember how I went. So we're going to go down underneath, down underneath, and up. So I'm catching the body and the first single crochet. Back down into the body, into the first single or second single crochet, and then back into the body again, into the next single crochet. And I do remember I did this one twice, so I'm going to do it twice on here again. And then go right close into the next stitch. I'm still kind of keeping an eye that they're seeming kind of the same. And then we went up into the middle somewhere, making sure you don't catch that arm. And then straight into the wing. And just over one stitch, and we're going to go up here. Still making sure that it's kind of the same angle. Catching a little bit of that wing, maybe a little bit more so it stays hidden. And then back down right close, but not in the same spot, to tie at the bottom of the wing. And I'm trying to stay in the middle. Catch one of these stitches. No, I'm trying to catch a sewing stitch, not a wing stitch. Tie your knot. And then down in and out where the other one went. So remember, this is an extra step right here. If you want to do this part, you can tie your two strings together. I don't think it makes a big difference on the wings because we have them sewed on so good, but let's see what happens when we pull them. Not much. So that's just securing them one extra knot, I guess. And then let's put them back in. And then out somewhere, the bottom or whatever is easiest for you. Give that a cut. And there we go, our little bee. He's so cute. I'm just going to show you one thing before I go. So last year I was scrolling around, and this is actually my inspiration for this little bee. I thought, isn't this cute? All these little sayings, and you can make a matching little bee. I've later decided there's no way I'm making all these bees. So I'm just going to share this with you. Maybe you're inspired to make one of these bees instead. I'll load a better photo into the video when I'm editing. And if you decide to make one, please come to my Facebook craft page and share it with me. The link is down in the description. I would love to see what you end up making using these little guys. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who has been so kind to have hit the thanks button and sent me such generous donations. You will now be listed at the end of all my next videos as my super thanks friends. Take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.